Welcome to the 2020 Global Peace Film Festival interviews. My name is Kelly Devine, Artistic Director. Please join me and Nina Strike, the Executive Director, in welcoming Andrew Purchin with the film The Curious Scroll. Andrew this is his second film with us, so we're really looking forward to this conversation. And want to remind everyone that we have, besides his film, we have a full raft of other programming that can be found at Global Peace Film Festival's website, peacefilmfest.org. And now, let's start the conversation.
Hello, Andrew. So good to see you. And let's start with, tell us a little bit about this film, and also as a returning filmmaker, let us know about the film that you had back in the 2017 festival.
Sure. So in the 2017 festival, I brought along a film called The Curious End to the War Against Ourselves. And really, it's a part one of The Curious Scroll. And I like to think about my works as improvisations. So in an improvisation, you typically have a score. And jazz, the score would have just certain elements that the players would keep coming back to. And in theater, there could be very specific kind of ideas that would be there. And so what I am doing is I am bringing letting the politics of the United States be the canvas, the stage, if you will. And then I'm bringing in some elements. And the element in this case is the Curious Scroll. So this is a public art making intervention. In the scroll, you'll see in the movie, the scroll looks a little bit like a Torah. And it's about that high and it's made out of linen. And with that is an easel, like that easel. And with that are some simple art supplies, and then there's me, and then a film crew, and a friend or two helping out to assist. So in 2016, we took this out to the Republican and Democratic national conventions, and what a gorgeous what a gorgeous canvas we have here in the United States with our political polarity. Now, if we're looking for drama, you're looking for something, we have it, right? Excuse me. And so what I wanted to do in that initial setup in 2016 is I wanted to see what would happen if we brought this art making installation to the conventions, and could we create a sense of calm? Could we add to some curiosity or compassion amongst those who are very passionate about politics, left and right? And just what would happen. And so I don't want to give away the whole thing from The Curious Scroll, because we definitely show footage from that. But I offered a guided art making meditation that helped people find calm. And from there, it was kind of like, I'm an artist first before anything else. And I've been painting in the open air. I love painting nature, and I found myself painting people, and I found myself painting at kind of different kinds of things, being invited to paint at my friend's father's funeral, for example, being able to paint at or draw and paint at a psychotherapy conference. I'm also a psychotherapist. And so what happens is when I'm in a public site, when I actually went out in 2012 to the political conventions as I was lobbying for another project. I had bumper stickers that said, "The making of art is the ultimate democracy." And we had white jumpsuits with these bumper stickers on them. And we, a group of us, maybe 100 of us, made art in public at the 2013 inauguration. And the idea was to do this no matter who was president. And so I went to the conventions before that, and I'm just painting on the street, just enjoying people. And I love people. And so that's what happened, I just found this is the best thing I could ever do, is just kind of watch people and see their color left and right, see the way they held themselves, see their passion. And, you know, it's actually not a bad environment to make art. So I'm being a little long-winded, I'm going back and forth here. So, but to bring it back to the Curious End to the War Against Ourselves in 2016, the conventions was the next bit. And so I made that film and had that experience. And so there we are in 2018, and our politics and our political polarities are much worse. And I'm in my hometown and county of Santa Cruz, and I decided I'm going to do a mini pilgrimage, just in my county. Let's local first, and see who lives in my county, and see what kinds of political opinions are out there, and see if I can have conversations with people on this curious scroll. And by now the scroll is, I think, 170 feet long. It's much longer, and we're doing the next layer. We're putting layers of paint on top of what was done before. And I ask people the question, what do you find beautiful? What do you find ugly? And how does something ugly become beautiful? And how would that happen in our politics? And so that's the improvisation. And from there, if you check out the movie, The Curious Scroll here, you'll see what happened, some of the stories that occurred. I guess I want to name that, the film is 20 minutes, but I had 20 hours of footage, easy. And I talked to lots of people, got lots of people making art. And I guess I wanted to speak to that as well, that my practice has been since I was a little kid, just enjoying the feeling of paint and really enjoying the feeling of food. Because playing with food is really sensual and really fun. And so even to ask that question, what would happen to us if you were having a disagreement with, let's say a family member, but you said, okay, we're going to play with food while we try to talk about this top topic. How might that conversation be a little bit different than we going up in arms, right? And so that's partly the spirit of this, is I really wanted to the base bit is I wanted to give people the idea you can make art in public and it can be messy. What's ugly, and how does something ugly become beautiful? And I think of bread mold. I gave that to some people as an example. Bread mold, most people think of as ugly, and I love the green tones in it, and it does stink. And then you go, wait, it's penicillin. So now think about it. The ugly remark that somebody might, ugly in my mind, maybe, maybe they're right wing, but how do I know there isn't some penicillin in there? What am I cutting off when I'm all the way, right? You're wrong, I'm right. What am I cutting off there?
Right.
What possibilities of human actions can there be? So why don't we just see if we can play with paint and say what colors we like to start with, right? Starting with what's fun, but let's see if we can get into our 3- and 4-year-old selves too. Let's see if we can bring it down into the body, into our humanity, out of the head, and let's see what happens. So that's what these improvisations are about.
Well, so you're a filmmaker. I'm sorry, you're actually an artist first. And yeah. Are these two your first films that you've made?
I believe so. Yeah, in a way, yeah. I've done little different art video stuff, so I don't know what you call a film or not, but yeah.
Oh, video stuff. Right, but in this sense, it seems as though that this is, this practice of yours is which is really lovely, and that's why I was so glad to see your second film as well, because I so enjoyed your first film. The 2016 election was difficult to deal with, and your short film helped. So thank you for that. Clearly you want to share your practice. How has the filmmaking helped you in that process?
In my art making process? These two films, how they affected my art making process? That's a great question. I'm not totally sure, but all I can say is that when I look back at footage, I love painting groups of people. And I mean, since I've been doing this work, on the streets. I'm just painting groups of people, and I'm a very kind of live person. And I think in editing, I think that's been particularly fun about thinking about editing, both between editing and painting and filmmaking. This might be a little wonky, and I don't even know if I can describe it because I'm not educated like I should be in filmmaking. But I'm not the primary editor at all. I have an excellent Dwayne Peterson. I want to just call him out. He's just a fabulous editor on The Curious Skull. Just knocked it out of the ballpark. So helpful to me. And but one thing that I just kept learning about is kind of really getting to the story. That those choices about, like, we have so much wonderful footage, great people, lots of great points about lots of great subjects, and they just totally would destroy the film if we kept them all in, right? And just really making it clear choices. And the clear choice that we made around The Curious Scroll was keep it focused on the power of art making. We decided that was just going to be center. And similarly in painting, where is the focus? And that's something that I think about in all different kinds of ways. And I think I'm going to leave it blank because I'll get very abstract. I won't be able to articulate that.
So how has the fact that you have started to tell the story of your art through film, as well as the practice that you have in person, how has that been affected by COVID?
Oh, okay. Well, COVID. Okay, so in 2020, I would have already gone to the Republican and Democratic national conventions. That was my plan, was to take this scroll out, and we had 2 activities planned for it, 2 different things. Now, this scroll that's 170 feet long can be tied into a knot, and so someday post-COVID, my goal would be to in various venues to get people on opposing sides of an issue, let's say gun control and gun rights, to tie the scroll into a knot together as a group. And as they're doing it, they're allowed in any way they want to put out their points, so that there could be quite an argument going on, which is a very different and edgy way to do this. But I want us to start in our baseline. Try to convince the other while you're tying this into a knot together, right? We're doing one thing together, but we're saying how we're different, right? Just even that juxtaposition is terribly fun for me, but very difficult to do, and it takes a lot. I did one experiment, but anyway, and then how tight of a knot will it get with that issue? Just imagine that if we can get the people in the room, we get really good pizza, like the best pizza. To get people to go there on either side. I don't want to be with those people, but right. But anyway, so we tie it into a really, really tight knot. I'm sure that's what would happen. Okay. And then I'll say, okay, now I'd like everybody to untie it in silence. No talking, no issues. What would happen? Now we need to cooperate. We've made it this tight. We've done it together as society, left and right. We're equally to blame. How do we untie this knot? And so that's something I really want to do in public. I want to be able to do, but that's not a COVID thing. Very close. So, and then the other was continuing to be out on the streets, and I was gonna focus more on empathy for the other side, should the other side lose. Empathy for myself, should my side lose, and empathy for them. And I had art ideas to be able to do that, because we're gonna be there not very long. We'll have our election, and one side's going to be passionately in pain, and empathy is needed no matter how much we disagree, either side.
Well, that leads me to one of the things we're trying to do, Nina and I, with our programming, with the mission of our organization, is to help provide models of ways to deal with the conflict and the friction in life in peaceful, just, respectful ways. That conflict is never going to be removed from life. It's sort of the spice and the drama of life. So it's not that conflict is necessarily the thing we're worried about. It's how we approach it, whether we look at it as an opportunity for growth and experience and learning. So I'd be interested to see, if you had, since you've used words to describe what you do as practice, what what advice you would give anyone listening who might want to look at your film about how they could help take some of this into their own lives.
Yeah, if you happen to have a ballpoint pen, I would love it if you would find it. You can do it now or you can do it later. Or if you happen to have maybe a pencil, and if you could just maybe fill a cup full of water, and yeah, I want to invite all of us to use whatever tools we can to be with our own parts that could feel angry, despairing, sad, terrified, scared, all the difficult emotions that are coming up for so many of us. And while I want to be able to, be a better listener, and I'd like all of us to get better at listening. I don't care if you're on the left or the right and agree with me or disagree. I want everyone to be a better listener. I really feel that's the way to get there. And frankly, I'm such a beginner myself, and I just wanted to say I've lost it on people and my family members who are, and that I want to be real about it, and having some kind of practice where we can be with our angry parts first and listen to them, and our despairing ones might help me have a little bit more ground, a little bit more space to hear that of another. So compassion for self is where to start, and build towards compassion towards the other. So I'm going to move this down so you can see what I have here, and I'm just going to model. So if you can just get your pencil or pen or whatever, and so I'm taking deep soothing breaths. And this is my right hand. I'm going to move to my left hand because I want to be real. And for the moment, I'm just doing a little calming. And you can just notice that I'm swaying my body a little bit, right? And I'm going to just kind of let things fall, all right? I'm having a light pressure right now. But sometimes even starting point, it might be I'm using the ballpoint pen, right? This might be a way to start because I'm feeling really tense, right? So, but whatever you are, whatever you're feeling, is that, just be able to get there. So it's kind of like, I'm getting on the planet, right? This is gravity. I could do it standing up and swivel on my feet. You can see that in the movie, right? Yeah, and so the other thing is a body check, right? So now I'm not doing, this is the self-portrait through a body check, meaning I'm gonna feel into my body. I'm gonna be quiet, but I'll talk. Normally I couldn't do this with talking, but there's tension in my jaws. I'm doing this interview, I have a little tension in my jaws, right? This is not my jaws, right? But this is the feeling of the tension in my jaws, right? And so let's just say I can go down to my belly and feel into my belly. So this is known as a body scan in meditation. This is an art making meditation where I can just be very tangible about it. And I'm now gonna just, this is no color, right? But still a lot can just be expressed inside, right? And so now it's something thicker. This is something water soluble. If you don't have anything like watercolor is water soluble, but if you don't have anything like that at home, you could always find charcoal. And if you don't have charcoal, you could burn a stick, don't burn anything down, and that becomes charcoal. Or you can get a tea bag and dip it in water, or coffee. It's groundy, but it makes color. Or you can get like a beet or some other vegetable. You can just make your own color, right? And I'm just naming it because I'm dipping my hands in the water, and that's water soluble. There's this nice feeling of water. It changes the calm. And for me, I find that different motions bring up different things, and this can help me be in my sad part or despairing part. So you may have seen something in the film festival. Or maybe you will see something that brought up some strong emotions for you and you just want space to process it. This could be a good way to do that. We have this election season coming, and for me, you can just see, I take a look at it. I haven't been looking at it, but now I'm looking at it, right? And I'm just for me, this mark feels satisfying. I don't even know why, right? It's just like, oh, get me through it, I don't know. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that you can, now it's not about making beautiful art, though sometimes the range of expression can be interesting. And it is helpful to get into our kid state and to allow ourselves to have space inside for whatever's going on. And so for those of us that have a hard time sleeping, I have occasional insomnia, and I'll wake up at 4 in the morning. And one of the things they'll do, okay, it's not working, just toss and turn. Let me toss and turn on the paper. Let me do a dance on the paper. Let me bring it out here. Let me bring some space, and then a few words might come out. And then I find myself calm and go back to sleep. So it is just kind of it is something that you can do for yourself and you can do it for the world by just being that much more calm and by giving some space for the big emotions. And of course, yeah, I mean, you could do this with your friends around too, but it's particularly wonderful to do privately as well. Yeah, I want to help us all become better listeners. That's key in my agenda. And I will, through my website, I'm on Instagram as well. I'm going to be offering some guided art making and movement meditations on various subjects, including reducing triggers, specific triggers, and other things. I'll be offering that probably through YouTube, but I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, and anybody can find me and follow me there. And I'll be announcing all this stuff as it comes. And that's what I'm doing during COVID times. This is what I can offer that's safe, it's sensual, you know, and yeah, I'd love to be able to offer some of this with people on Zoom so that I can support others in their expression as well. So, yeah.
That's wonderful to hear about all the ideas that you have to moving forward. So how can our audiences support your work?
Well, actually, it would be delightful just if you do this, if you want to just let me know that you did that. Be great if you got on my mailing list. It's on my website. thecuriousproject.org gets you right to a mailing list for the Curious Project. But on my website, you can find on projects. Go to projects. You'll find the Curious Project there. Yeah, I'd love it if you get on my mailing list. If you're interested, then I can send you stuff about what I'm doing. You know, currently I'm just on hold as far as any kind of filmmaking or fundraising or anything like that. I'm catching up and paying off the other films on my own. And so I don't need that for me, but I would love it just if you're involved in the same way, or if you wanna, you'll find my email. You can email me a picture of something you made and let me know. I'm happy if there's anybody who wants to collaborate on making multiple scrolls and multiple art installations across the nation. That would be cool. So there's some ideas.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Kelly?
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. This has been, you know, a remarkable discussion, and we really appreciate it. And thank you I mean, I already feel calmer already. I wish I had a piece of paper and something to draw on while we were doing this, but, and hopefully during the festival itself, we might have you back and do a live session with everyone. That would be great. And we really appreciate the generosity of spirit and you, all the things that you're sharing. They're really helpful and really appreciated. So thank you.
Great, thank you. It's been a delight.
And thank everyone who listened in on this interview. We really, you know, are looking forward to hearing from you, your thoughts, your insights. Please share them with us through our social media channels. We also, if you have a question that you had wanted to ask Andrew, we've set up a Google form and we have it in many, many places on our film guide places. And it's just called Submit a Filmmaker Question. So please look for that if you would like to send Andrew a question after watching The Curious Scroll. We also have an impact survey of anything that you've seen, Andrew's film or other films or other programming, and it has moved you to take action. We also have a Google form for that survey, along with many, many other community resources and community listings that can be found on the Global Peace Film Festival website at peacefilmfest.org. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your help in making our world a more just and peaceful place. We'll see you at the festival.